Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Game Prodigy, and today we are looking at the logistics screen, specifically the equipment delivery. So you've worked really hard and you have your bronze weapons orders and you don't want to waste them. Well, I don't want you to either. And so what I've done is I've gone in and I've ranked all of these different items based on 3 categories. The first category, impact. How impactful is that item going to be when you use it in a battle? The second category, usefulness. How useful is it going to be in any given situation? And last but not least, number 3, the X factor. What are the intangibles of this, and can it help tip the battle in your team's favor? We're going to tally all of those up, and it's going to come up with the final combat score, which is going to be from 1 to 10. So without further ado, let's get right into the items. The first item we're going to look at today is the Medkit. It provides 3 to health recovery and 3 to bringing back consciousness. Overall, it has an impact of 6. The ability to bring your soldier back from unconsciousness is huge. How often are you going to use it? Again, very often. It's going to get a score of 6. Now, if you get one shot, you're not going to be able to use your Medkit, but you're going to find yourself using these often. And that leads to our X Factor score of 8. The reason why I gave it an X Factor score of 8 is it allows you to bring back soldiers that are going to be able to have high impact on the game. If your engineer gets knocked down, rather than having to wait for a whole nother squad to come in, a Medkit allows you to potentially bring them back. Now, granted, 3 health is not a lot when you consider that the average soldier has a health of 15. So a Medkit is not a true health pack. It's just enough to keep them going. Overall, combat score of 6.7. The toolkit provides your vehicle operators the ability to partially repair any tank or plane, if you can land the plane, to some type of workable condition from red to yellow. For its impact score, an 8, the ability to take a vehicle that is otherwise damaged and get it back into the fight is huge. For usefulness score, however, I've given it a 4. Planes have to land in order to use it. That's precarious at best. There's some speculation as to whether it even works and if you can take off again. And as for tanks, you have to get out of the tank in order to use it, which means that you're putting your guys at risk. And you have 5 guys in the tank or 3 guys in the tank. They all aren't going to be able to get a ton of use out of this, but you have to have a toolkit on all of them in case some of them do die when they get out or die prior to it. For X Factor score, I've given it a 5. It's great to be able to get your vehicle back in the fight. However, there's a huge risk involved in doing so. And realistically, you may just be better off having that group die, letting someone else get a tank, and then going back and having a fresh vehicle versus trying to nurse a wounded vehicle through the battle. In terms of overall combat score, I give this a 5.7. The small backpack gives you 1 additional inventory space that you can either fill with a med kit or toolboxes. Overall, the impact of having 1 additional med kit or toolbox is really little. I've given it an impact of 2. If you've gotten shot to the point where your health is really low, you're not going to go unconscious twice. You're going to die when you get hit the next time. The best case scenario for this is you take a little bit of damage, you heal up again. In terms of usefulness, I've given it a 2 as well, because there's going to be better alternatives later on, first and foremost, but it takes time to heal, and you're not automatically going to be healing with two medkits. You're only going to automatically be healing with 1 if your guys are down, and again, there's better alternatives. This is really a waste of a bronze weapons card. In terms of X Factor, I give it a 1. There's way better options with the larger backpacks if you're going to go down this route. And you also have to wait a long time until the backpack slot is unlocked. So by the time you get to that, you can't put this on without that slot, and you might as well just get the large one that's going to be reviewed later on. In terms of combat score, 1.7. The grenade pouch allows you to carry one additional grenade. In terms of impact, I've given this a 5. Second grenade is never a bad thing. However, there is a better alternative in the larger grenade pouch, so it's getting a usefulness of 2. Having grenades is great, however, there's a better option. The only argument you can really make is weight and speed, but realistically, the weight difference is going to be insignificant. In terms of X Factor score, I've given this a 5. There's never a bad time to have 2 grenades. However, there's better alternatives. And because of that, we're going to have a final combat score of 4.0. The small ammo pouch provides a 10% increase in your magazines for your main weapon, a minimum of 1 magazine. Its impact is a 4. Additional ammunition is never a bad thing, and you do find yourself running out of ammunition fairly often in this game. In terms of usefulness, I've given it a 2. Again, there's a better option with the large ammo pouch. Although, out of all these small backpacks, this is probably the one that makes the most sense, because the large is providing so much ammunition that you're not often going to use it all. In terms of X Factor, I've given this a 4. A little bit of extra ammo has made the difference between whether or not you survive or whether or not your soldier is going to die, or you're going to have to divert somewhere to try and get more ammunition, and that keeps you out of the fight for an extended period of time. Overall, a combat score of 3.3. Alright, moving on to the grenades. Now, all the grenades are going to cost you 2 bronze weapons cards, and so we've got to factor that in when we're looking at it. A smoke grenade will lay down a thick white smoke that will obscure the vision of the enemy, but will also obscure your team's vision of the enemy. In terms of impact, I've given it a 6. There are definitely situations where a smoke grenade will come in handy. If a tank is particularly troublesome and he's mowing down your soldiers, or there's a large field you have to go through, then yeah, smoke's definitely going to help. In terms of usefulness, there's only a limited number of situations where I would say, man, I really wish I had smoke, because you have access to TNT, and TNT is just better for the same price. Now, if you have a large grenade container and you want to go TNT, smoke, and in those situations where smoke would be really handy, then great, go for it. I definitely would recommend giving it a try. In terms of X Factor, because of the fact that TNT is just so much better, I've given it a 4. Total combat score, 4.7. Up next is the Frag grenade. For 2 bronze weapons cards, you can get a Frag grenade. In terms of impact, I give it a 3. It's primarily used to kill troops, although at this point in time in the game, it can kill tanks, but it's very rare. In terms of usefulness score, I give it a 2. A smoke grenade is better than this. TNT is infinitely better than this, but early on in the game, you are going to have some soldiers that come stock equipped with a frag grenade, and if that's your only option, it's better than nothing. In terms of X Factor, I've given it a 1. Spending 2 bronze cards on a frag grenade is a huge waste. Get TNT, get smoke, ignore this card completely. In terms of the combat score number, it's a 1.7. For 2 bronze weapons cards, you can get the Explosion Pack. It is a bunch of dynamite sticks designed for blasting, apparently effective against vehicles. In terms of impact, this gets a 10. The ability to destroy vehicles from any trooper, regardless of the squad class, is huge. It also is very good at clearing points and potentially delaying advancements of troops. In terms of usefulness, 10. You're going to use explosive packs all the time. Most of the time, you're going to wish you had more than just one, but the number of uses for this is almost unlimited. In terms of the X Factor score, I've given it a 7. There's a dark side to explosive packs, and that's you end up blowing yourself up more often than not. So while it's great at killing enemies, it's also really good at killing yourself. Overall combat score is going to be a 9. For 2 bronze weapons cards, you can also get a Molotov cocktail. A Molotov cocktail will launch a area denial of fire, lighting enemy troops on fire and potentially obscuring the vision or lighting a tank on fire. In terms of its impact, I've given it a 4. And that's only because TNT explosion packs are so much better than Molotov cocktails. In terms of usefulness, I've also given it a 4. There's better options for the same price. Again, some of these come stock with some of your different squads, so you're going to have it, and it's better than nothing. Now, in terms of X Factor, I've given it a 6, and the reason why I've given it a 6 is it is really good at extended area of denial. If you throw a Molotov cocktail in the way troops can't go into certain areas, you can keep things out, or that you risk lighting them on fire. Again, this has a dark side. You can light your own teammates on fire as well. Fire does not discriminate. In terms of combat score, this is a 4.7. For the low price of 3 bronze weapons cards, you can get yourself an Antitank mine. It is a mine designed to destroy or disable enemy vehicles. In terms of impact, I've given this a 4. And the reason is, if you can destroy a tank, awesome. And if there's any troops surrounding it, great. In terms of usefulness, I've given this a 4 as well. And that's because explosion packs are basically anti-tank mines for 1 less bronze card that you can fire wherever you want. In order for this to work, the tank, you have to go to some place where a tank's going to eventually be, lay it, and retreat. Now, in terms of X Factor score, I've given this a 6 because there's some cheeky ways you can use this besides just waiting for a tank to roll over it, and you can actually shoot the mine and blow it up. So you can use this as kind of a trap of sorts that can be triggered. It's almost like an IED triggered by a gunshot. In terms of combat score, I give this a 4.7. If all of your troops are already loaded up with explosives and you're looking for that little extra bang, the Antipersonnel mine is available for 3 bronze cards. In terms of impact score, I've given this a 5. And the reason why is because there's way more troops on the field that you're going to potentially be able to kill than tanks. So the odds of the Antipersonnel mine actually being used is going to be slightly higher. In terms of usefulness, I give this a 4. This is a luxury item. Once you have all of your TNT filled up and your ammo filled up and everything else, if you play on a defensive team, then especially if you're going to be in bunkers and stuff, it's nice to have something on doors to be able to give you that extra sense of protection. And for that reason, I give it an X Factor score of 6. Overall combat score for the Antipersonnel mine is a 5. Getting into the large backpacks. Starting off, the large backpack will give you 3 additional spaces. It costs 4 bronze weapons cards. In terms of impact, I've given this a 4. There is a situation where putting additional toolkits into your tankers has proven beneficial in the game. In terms of usefulness, I give this a 2. In terms of backpacks, more ammunition or more explosives are going to be infinitely better than potentially more medkits or more tools. And lastly, X Factor, I've given this a 2. A little bit of extra health isn't really going to help you. While the situation with the tank can be helpful, you can get another tank by just spawning in 3 units. So while this is kind of helpful, there are much better alternatives. In terms of combat score, this gets a 2.7. Next up is one of my favorite items, the large grenade pouch. It provides 2 additional grenade spaces. In terms of impact, I've given this a 10. There is never a situation where more explosion packs is a bad idea. There's lots of situations where you will throw explosion at a tank and it won't particularly kill it. And so I've given this a usefulness of 8. The only reason why it's not a 10 is because oftentimes your soldier is going to die before he can use all of his grenades. In terms of the X Factor score, I've given this a 10. And the reason why it's a 10 is, in addition to additional TNT, you also have the option of maybe putting in a smoke grenade so you can get the benefits that we talked about earlier with the smoke grenade. Overall combat score is a 9.3. The last item available for 4 bronze weapons cards is a large ammo pouch. In terms of impact, I've given this an 8. There are definitely lots of situations, especially when you get into your assaulters who have automatic weapons, where you're going to run out of ammo. That's not going to be the case as often with the large ammo pouch, which basically means that your guys can stay in the fight and killing and helping your team longer. Because of that, I've given this a usefulness of 8. The reason why it's not a 10 is because more often than not, your soldier ends up dying before you can use anywhere near all of the ammo that's available. In terms of the X Factor, I'm giving this a 6. And the reason why it's a 6 is because you're giving up the TNT ability for more ammunition. And while a ton of ammunition is great, odds are ammunition is not going to help you kill a tank. And ammunition is you're going to be able to kill large amounts of troops, but not all at once, and you can do that with explosives. Therefore, the combat score is a 7.3. That does it for our equipment delivery review. Hopefully this is going to help you spend your bronze cards more wisely. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more of it live, be sure to check me out. Twitch TV/Game Prodigy, as always. And until next time, keep making bad decisions. I will see you later. Adios.